Welcome, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to Anonymous Live, where we will be here for the next couple of hours taking callers from strangers, hearing stories, hearing confessions, hearing whatever the anonyms would like to share. We are here for them. If you're new here, this is not entertainment. This is not entertaining. That's what we always say. We just like to get that out in the open because we get a lot of people coming in here rather confused sometimes. We do a lot of different streams here on this channel, and this is a different one. We do it late at night when things are on people's minds. And here we will be. Thank you for being here. These are always a special time, and these are the highlight of my week, each week, without fail. And a lot of that is because of the beautiful chat we have. You guys are awesome. A lot of these names I'm starting to recognize as regulars. So if you are a regular here, you are you're such a valuable part of this. And the chats are always such a huge resource for the callers to revisit after each stream. So thank you in advance for keeping the chatter on topic and focused on the caller. Couple things right out of the gate. Nightbot has received some adjustments. So, oh, that was the wrong sound. There we go. Evil laugh. Nightbot has finally received some adjustments. Nightbot should behave much better tonight. Nightbot's been like booting people and timing people out for no good reason. It was just it hadn't been set out. I keep referring to it as a he because I'm, you know me. I think everybody's a dude. That was a joke. But Nightbot needed some adjustments. We gave it to them, and we gave it to it, and it has behaved much better in the last stream we did. So hopefully it should be smooth sailing tonight. And then the other thing I wanted to say is to a caller from, let's see, today's Thursday. It would have been Tuesday night last time we did this. The last stream we did here on Anonymous Live, there was a caller who called in sharing about a difficult relationship situation where they had been in a long-term relationship for a number of years and developed a crush for somebody else and asked their partner if they would consider opening their relationship and whatnot. And they were dealing with some jealousy. And I recommended I think I recommended one book and some thinkers that they could research just to further enlighten themselves. And there was a book that I realized I forgot to mention that would be amazing for that caller. It's called The Dangerous Passion. So if that caller happens to be watching this at any point, there's another book you could check out if you get through that Jeffrey Miller book we talked about called Dangerous Passion by David Buss. And I'm going to start the stream tonight by putting this in the chat, again, just in case they're watching this at any point. I'm getting that link right now. And we're going to start by putting this in the stream for that caller. I'll also put it, just to be safe, in the replay of the last episode in case they revisit that. Dangerous Passion by David Buss. Okay, so with that, we are opening the lines now. And we will take the first caller at random. Everything is booting up. You guys, the last stream I did here was yesterday, and we streamed one of my favorite card games. I'm such a nerd. I streamed a card game. It's only downhill from here, guys. If you have not checked out the game Dominion, it's off topic, but no callers have called in yet. Lines are open now, it looks like. But that if you have not played Dominion, check out that last stream I did on yesterday, Wednesday. That is an excellent card game. Very relaxing, very chill. A great way to catch up with someone while doing something. It's not too involved, but just enough strategy to keep it entertaining. So just a little quick tip there. I love that card game, and I would love to see that game become more popular because it's such a good game. So we will wait here for the first caller to call in. Sometimes there's a little bit of a wait. There's no problem. We've yet to have a stream where nobody's called in. So we will wait. I'm catching up on the chat, see if I've missed anything. I see we have Off Court Tonight in the house. Welcome, sir. Yeah, I'm seeing some responses to what I said about Nightbot. Yeah, Nightbot was ruthless, including quoting. It was booting people with Duke Nukem quotes. I kid you not. It was literally somebody would post something just in all caps, and Nightbot would time them out and quote Duke Nukem at them. Not the best look. Okay, some calls are coming in. We're going to take this one. Hi, thanks for calling. Hello?
Hey, how's it going? Yes.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. Can we start with your age and then just a brief intro?
I'm 24, and I just enrolled in college to better myself and my family's life.
Good for you. What are you studying?
I'm studying information technology.
Okay, good field. That's a good choice. So you like computers?
Yeah, I've kind of had them around my life.
And what's on your mind tonight?
I just actually found out that you were doing this, I think yesterday, and I don't really know where to begin with this, but I'll just start it off. When I was 2 years old, my mom passed away of a overdose on a mixture of alcohol and medications. And, without, trying to trauma dump too much, that has been a hole that has been left through, the majority of my life, and has affected me in ways that I never really thought would. And it's taken a long time to really pick out those different ways.
I'm so sorry for your loss. Man, sounds like you were so young when that happened. Do you have any memories of your mother?
Not particularly. I have one specific memory that's pretty dark. I'm not sure if this is necessarily the place to share it. But I have a memory of the last time I saw her, we'll say it that way, long after she had passed. But that's about it in terms of my actual memories of her.
I see. So what's the, you mentioned a void. What does that feel like? And do you have any motherly figure in your life that has stepped into that? Or do you feel like that is the void, that there's just nothing, that you have nothing to go off of there?
Well, obviously there's a void because nothing can replace, a mother in any child's life. But I do have a stepmother who has adopted me. So technically she's not my stepmother. She's my mother. But it's weird having that introduced when you're, I don't remember if I was 4 or 5, or it wasn't long after that, you're kind of, okay, this is mom. And then as you get older, you're like, but they're not mom, but they've treated me like son. And you kind of feel weird because I don't want that to be my mom. And obviously I'm grateful for her, but it's almost as if a hole that shouldn't be filled was attempted to be filled rather than helping deal with the hole, if that makes sense, which, obviously there's no good way to go about it, so I don't blame anybody in the situation.
So this was your stepmother that you're describing that basically became your mom?
Yes.
Do you think that maybe it's possible she didn't know how to help you sort through that? Is that possible?
Oh, 100%. I don't think anybody knew. And this is one thing that I've, haven't found out until 20 years of hindsight,
Mm-hmm. So how would you describe... Sorry, go ahead. No, this is your floor.
I was just going to say honestly, that derailed my train of thought.
I'm sorry. You were talking about... You were saying that I'm trying to help you regain your train of thought. You were saying that I was asking because you said that I asked that last question because I couldn't tell if there was some resentment maybe, which I've heard that before. Sometimes people have resentment towards step parents because they could have been more, and I wasn't sure if that's what you were getting at or if you were saying that it was just such a big void that nobody could have filled it. And it sounds like that's what you're saying, the latter, that nobody could have filled that, and it's kind of just been your journey to figure out how to get through that on your own.
I feel like it's a little bit of both, because any resentment that I have is also taken with the fact that I really don't blame anyone. I'm not angry at anybody, but I think if I was, 20 some odd years old of smart at 4 years old, maybe I would have been able to more direct how the relationship had been treated. Because again, none of this is intentional on anybody's part, but having all the experience I have now and looking back, it's interesting to see where some things I'm like, okay, if I knew everything then that I do now, I can see where that may have planted some sort of tension in our relationship, because we've never had, sorry about that, we've never had a bad relationship, but it's also never been great either.
I see. So where do you want to focus this on tonight? Do you want to focus on the relationship with your stepmother, or is this something you're trying to unpack, this void of your actual mother? And we might be able to get into both, but where do you want to begin at least?
I guess just the whole. I guess it's really just that. It's feeling upset that, and maybe it's just being upset in the first place that my mom died, and maybe that's where it all comes from. It's just maybe there's some resentment and some anger tied up in all of that. And I've also had feelings of, part of me is upset that she wasn't able to handle the addiction well enough and stay with us, but also having dealt with some of the similar things, I have the experience of, no, I understand why. And I also understand that it probably wasn't intentional. It's just one of those things that it got the best of her, and that's how it went. It just sucks.
Right.
And there's just no other way to really go about it. Just, it happened.
So what would you say you are lacking in your life? I mean, obviously you're lacking a mom, and I'm not trying to minimize. I'm just trying to understand what that experience is like to grow up. I mean, it sounds like you only have one vague memory of your mom, your actual mom, and I wonder what that feels like. I wonder what it is that you deal with on a daily basis. It seems like something's gnawing at you. Can you describe that feeling? Is it something practical that you feel you weren't taught, or is it nurturing you feel you didn't receive, and how does that play out in your adult life?
I think it's resulted in me being very unsure of my worth, and especially when it comes to relationships that I've had, feeling like I'm enough in the relationship. And since I've always been heterosexual, I've always dated women, I feel like maybe that also plays into, I never quite feel like I'm good enough in the relationship, and that in itself has led to, relationships not working out, just because I can't trust myself, and I'm maybe uncomfortable with the commitment because I'm afraid. I mean, the thought of losing that is absolutely soul-crushing. Just the sneaking hint of it coming in is terrifying, and it's been very hard to deal with. Anytime I think I've done something wrong in my relationship, I'm like, oh my God, it's all over. All this years of work, all of this, it is all done. And I'm finally getting to the point where I'm like, no, it's not done. You just messed up, and we can fix that.
Right. I'm so sorry to hear about your experience. When I think about a mother, what a mother means to a lot of people, it's, that's usually the person, and there's exceptions to every family, of course, and no family looks exactly the same, so you can't generalize, but, in a lot of families, they're raised with a mother who tends to their emotions in a nurturing way, comforts them when they're having a bad day or confused about something. If they scrape their knee, their mom consoles them, fixes them up, and I wonder if not having that figure in your life from such an early age uh, is I mean, it sounds like you're suggesting that that's the root of why you have these insecurities in relationships. It sounds like you've already connected those dots, but I'm processing this out loud. I'm not telling you anything. I'm just thinking through what you've said out loud, and
Yeah.
I wonder when you think about it, when you think about what you lost, when you think about all the things that your mother wasn't able to be there for you to do, and the things that you got instead, does that thought bring any clarity to your situation in terms of how to move forward, or how to, because what I'm getting at is like, I mean, what you've lost is a severe loss. Like, that's a very sad thing to have lost so young, and a lot of people have to experience some kind of loss in life. I'm not suggesting that everybody experiences something like you have, because that's extreme. But what I'm getting at is that we all have these moments in life where we lose something, or something bad happens, and we're forced to kind of think through the nuts and bolts of what happened, and sometimes ask why it happened, sometimes ask what would have been different if it didn't happen. And I'm kind of suggesting, I guess, like a problem-solving kind of approach to this. Not that you can think your way through this, but I wonder if you've tried to do that, and what it feels like when you try to do that, and if it helps at all, if it brings any more clarity, or if the experience of growing up without your mom has just made this hard thing to see through, like it's opaque or something. Do you feel like there's ever any moments of clarity where you're like, okay, I can actually see how I might be able to pick up the pieces that I wasn't actually raised with? I can see them on the ground over there. I can probably go pick those up myself as an adult now and exercise those muscles. Do you have those? Does it make sense what I'm saying, or does it? Am I just losing you?
No, I absolutely see what you're saying. I feel like what brings clarity is just, I guess, after having pushed through so much. I mean, I've had my own bouts with addictions. I've battled with suicide and self-harm and the things that come with that. And I guess, now I've got 2 kids and I've got a wife, and it's having pushed through all this, I've gotten to the point, and I feel lucky that I've been able to do this because it's so hard to do. I've just gotten to the point where it's not worth suffering over it, because in the long run, if my, mom had these addictions, and I know that I'm prone to them, I mean, would I have been hooked on the same thing earlier? Would I still be here? How different would my life have looked if, not that she would have been a bad mom, and I'm sure, my life would have still been amazing, but having that kind of dangerous, kind of demon so close at all times, and knowing that it's in kind of my genetics and comes through the family, that probably wouldn't have been good. So while it's horrible and absolutely, it's terrible to think about, but having lost her, I guess, also maybe protected me from the negative side, because everyone has their positives and their negatives. And I guess, unfortunately, in that situation, her negatives would have just been a little too dangerous.
That's a way to look at it. I also, I'm not arguing with you, but at your own defense, I mean, and because I care about you, and you're calling and sharing this heartbreaking story, I'm just offering another point of view. Some people are raised with parents who are so the opposite of what they need. Some people are raised in really horrible homes by parents that are living, but never wanted kids, and now they have them, and then they treat their kids horribly, and some of these kids grow up to perpetuate the thing that, that's saying hurt people. And that's true for the vast
Yeah.
majority of the time. It's very rare that somebody comes out of a bad household or a dangerous household and doesn't become dangerous themselves. And then sometimes you get people, like I said, there's some exceptions where some people are raised in such dire situations where they come into adulthood and they say, you know what, that is absolutely not what I am. I'm absolutely going to do everything I can to nip those things in the bud and not repeat the mistakes of my parents. And so I guess I'm saying it could have played out any number of ways. And you sound like a really lucid person. You sound like you're really aware of what you've lost, what you didn't get. And it sounds like you've thought a lot about this. And so I'm just offering that other perspective just to give you other thoughts to chew on, because the world obviously isn't simple. And I'm not saying you're making it simple either. But when you said that, it just made me think of people I've known who grew up in really dangerous homes. And then, some people get so close to that they're blind to it. So I'm not sure what the closing thought there is. I'm just offering that as like a other food for thought on that point. I don't know. I don't know you. I don't know your mom. I don't know if she was addicted to pills and alcohol, or if this was like a one-time thing that went wrong. It sounds like maybe she was abusing this stuff. Is that right?
Yeah.
I see. So you mentioned in relationships you have these insecurities. Are you in a relationship now?
I am. I am happily married, and I've got 2 beautiful children.
I thought you mentioned marriage. I wasn't sure if you'd said that or not. We've got a voice changer on you, so sometimes it's hard to hear things.
No worries.
So you feel insecure in your marriage, and you feel the fear that you mentioned of losing someone. I guess you meant that about your wife, that you have this severe fear of losing your wife. Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Does your wife know you feel that way?
Yeah, it's something that we've discussed before. It's just in the beginning, I mean, we've been together for coming up on 6 years now. So, earlier in our relationship, any time that she would be upset with me, rightfully so, people get upset with each other, and that's, totally normal. I get upset with her sometimes, but I've always been very bad at dealing with other people being upset with me or not fulfilling other people's standards for me. And so any time that she would be upset with me, I would be like, oh my God, she's going to leave. I messed it up. This was the time that I've ended everything. I went too far or whatever. And it was never the case. But I always was so scared of that happening. I would think about it so much that I would almost, kind of self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing.
Right. Self-fulfilling prophecy. So you've actually seen that manifest itself just through the fear that you're experiencing. You've seen that fear bring it to life. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I guess it's gotten to the point where I find myself on the path, and I'm glad I've finally realized that a mistake is not the end. It's just a mistake. But yeah.
So yeah, that's your real dilemma, it sounds like. It sounds like you're trying to find new ways of thinking or new ways of approaching these tendencies so that they don't manifest, so they don't backfire on you, so that you don't actually fulfill the fear through living in it. It sounds like you're looking for ways to overcome that fear and move on with this new beautiful life you have. I mean, it sounds like you have a lot going for you. It sounds like you have a lot to be proud of with your family. You're raising 2 kids. How old are your kids? No names, no locations.
I've got one that's about to turn 7 and one that is 4.5.
Wow. You're in the thick of it.
Yep.
Those are around the age of my kids too.
Oh, yeah?
And you're 24. My goodness.
Yes, sir.
Busy man. Um, so, yeah, my gut says that because you're so young, and I wouldn't have guessed you're so young just by the way that you're speaking and the words you choose. Like, you're very well spoken. It sounds like you thought a lot through uh, the pain of your childhood, and it seems like you've done a lot of good processing on that. Are you in therapy? I think Offcore asked that earlier. I wonder how you got to the place where you are now. It seems you've clearly made progress. I mean, you've secured a mate, you've made children, you've got a beautiful life. It seems so. That seems to be the picture of somebody who's at least processed a decent amount of this. So where did that come from? From therapy or just self-reflection, or how did you get to where you are?
It's definitely a combination, but I've been in therapy my whole life. I was, my mom who came in and stepped in was an amazing woman. Both my mom and my dad always had nothing but the best intent. Thankfully, we were, a well-off enough family that we never had to worry about, anything. I was always had a very stable life. I was able to get, therapy and medications I needed and anything like that. I never had to worry about that. And then when I was in high school, I went to a wilderness therapy program and spent like 72 days in the woods in a therapeutic setting.
Wow.
And that was by far the most illuminating and life-changing experience of my life.
Wow.
Saved my life and has set me on a course I wouldn't be on, I feel, without it.
That's incredible. LC from the chat says it's amazing what your life has become. There's someone else agreed with them, and I agree. I think it's amazing the work you've done to get where you are. Of course, you've still got these worms in the can that you're sifting through, and what I was getting at earlier when I mentioned your age. I didn't really close that thought, but I was saying, like, you're at the age where these kinds of things, it's so surprised to me that you're still processing this stuff. I mean, I'm no wise old sage. I don't know how long people process this stuff for. I imagine that with such an event, it may be on your mind for all your life. I'm not saying that I believe people move through these things and get through these things, and I believe these things do make people stronger in time. But what I'm saying is, right now, you're still in your early 20s, and that's the age where we're really beginning to unpack our deepest, darkest fears and insecurities and tendencies and bad habits. And so I would say to you, be patient with yourself. In my personal case, I was sifting through stuff I thought I'd never get through well into my early 30s, and stuff from my childhood I still think about. I'm 35 now, but I think that your 20s are about sifting through these kinds of things: loss, pain, neglect, whatever. People. There's different flavors of these kinds of experiences of loss. But
Right.
I think that what I'm trying to tell you, in maybe too many words, is that I think it's amazing the processing you've done on this already. It's no surprise to me you've had a lot of therapy, because it's talking right now, and it shows. And but I'm encouraging you to take it easy on yourself, and just know that this is the age where people are sifting through things like this. I once heard somebody told me, somebody I admired in their 50s or 60s, I think they were approaching 60 when they told me this. They said, your 20s are about learning who you are, your 30s are about applying that, and your 40s are about no, sorry, I butchered it. Let me start over. Your 20s are about learning who you are. Your 30s are about learning how to apply that. Your 40s are your most productive years in applying that into your life, into your job, your profession, your career. And then your 50s and beyond are about reaping the benefits of all that previous work. So it's kind of this picture of like the first 50 years of your life. You're figuring out who you are and how to make a difference in this world, how to make the world better with whatever way you can. And then the last 50 years of your life are about reaping the benefits of that, is so long as you've done the work. And I thought that was such a beautiful picture. I hope that encourages you. It encouraged me when I heard it around your age. And I hope that gives you some kind of peace, knowing that it's okay that you don't have all the answers right now. You won't have, you're not supposed to have them. The answers may surprise you. You may wake up one day and a light bulb may click, or it may be another long few years of therapy processing it. But I do believe eventually, in the near future, you'll reach a point where these things don't hold you back as much. They don't cripple you as much. I think that's true. And so I hope you understand I'm not like making light of your experience or suggesting that it's not a problem, because I can only imagine what that feels like. I can only imagine. But I'm saying that I think it's amazing. I'm asking you not to discredit yourself for the work that you have done, because it sounds like a lot of people miss the forest for the trees on the work they've done in themselves. They don't realize, a lot of people don't. It's really hard to see yourself where you are, because every day is problems. Every day you have problems. Everybody has problems every day. And problems never go away. Problems in life, problems in work and marriage, relationships in general, problems are everywhere. So there's never a day where there's not problems or something that's gnawing at us. And so I think because of that, it can be really hard to celebrate the small victories, to celebrate the small footsteps. I often encourage callers here to maybe incorporate into their bedtime ritual. Look at when they're brushing their teeth in the mirror, just think about all that you did that day, all the emotional work, all the mental work, all the physical work, and tell yourself, good job, buddy, or something like that. Just tell yourself, there's all these crazy affirmations psychologists will tell you to do, like I love that opening of What About Bob, where he's like rubbing his temples in the mirror. He's like, I am good, I am great, I am wonderful. I don't know if you know that reference. Those kinds of affirmations, I think they may work, but they've always seemed so corny to me. But I do think it's important to affirm ourselves and to affirm any level of work we do, even big or small. And it seems like you've done a lot of work, and I wonder if you've affirmed that for yourself, if you've appreciated yourself for that, if you've celebrated yourself for that, if you've thanked yourself for that at all.
I think I'm finally getting to the point in my life where I am. And I think this whole college thing, applying to college like I have, has done a lot for that. Looking back at why I'm finally comfortable, I never, ever thought I'd go to college. I mean, I've done EMS, which was not college, but still school. I mean, I've done all kinds of different things that were just not going to college. And I think finally looking around, seeing what I've done, the skills I've gained, and thinking, what can I do? What can I change? Because I'm not quite there. I've got to change something. And seeing, what I think I can take on college has been a really big motivator for me. Has done wonders for just my own self-esteem and my own enthusiasm about myself and how I'm doing and all of that. So I'm finally getting to the point where I can appreciate the work that I've done.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm glad to hear that you take that time to acknowledge that. That doesn't sound like you always did, but see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. It took some life experience. It took some time for you to get to that place, for you to look around yourself and be like, what I'm doing, this path I'm on is not getting me where I wanted to be. And you course corrected, and you've been slowly putting in place better habits that I'm not saying like, I'm not suggesting like there's right or wrong things for you to do, but like you've sensed it. You sense like, this is not satisfactory to me. I'm going to do these things instead. And look at you. You've built a life. You've got a family of your own. And I hear your dilemma, because you don't want to live. Your dilemma is you don't want to live in this beautiful life that you've built with this persisting fear of loss. You want to move past that. I hear that in your voice. You want to learn to be present and be in the moment and enjoy what you have without fearing losing it. And I can only imagine how tough that is. I wouldn't know from your shoes what that looks like or feels like. That's why I'm asking so many questions. I hope you don't think I'm being nosy, but you called in.
No, this is what I called for.
So, yeah, I want to celebrate the work that you've done and the amazing head you have on your shoulders. You're so young, man. Like, you're 24 and like you're speaking like you've got it all. I would have, if you had called in and we had just talked, like if we had just had a conversation elsewhere, like at a coffee shop or something, I would have thought this guy's 24 and he's got everything figured out. I would have had no idea that you were wrestling with these things. And that's kind of the beauty of this stream, is that we go deep, we give you anonymity, we want to hear what's on people's minds, because I believe that like everybody's got something like this. Everybody has something they won't talk about or can't talk about. And so I wanted to celebrate the work that you've done. I'm glad you shared about that. And I would just say, keep on that path, keep doing that, whatever it is that you're doing, whatever headspace you're in right now. I would also say, don't be afraid of the fear. You know, like I heard this from, I can't remember where I heard this exactly, but it's helped me out so much in my life. We go through seasons of negativity or funk, or some people experience depression, some people experience anxiety. It manifests in all kinds of different ways in all kinds of different people. And some people, you know, to be clear, to be fair, some people do have like mental illness issues that they need specific kind of treatment for, specific kind of therapy for, and I'm not talking about those kinds of people when I say this, because everybody's on a different path. But we go through seasons of sadness, we go through seasons of negativity and funk. And I once heard somebody say, you know, the best thing we can do in those seasons is to welcome the emotions, because they have reason to be there. Welcome them in as a guest in your home, not as a partner, not as a mate, not as a permanent housemate, but as a guest in your home of your body. Welcome it for a season. Don't wallow in it, but welcome it. Acknowledge that it's there, and say welcome. You know, I'm not saying you have to actually talk to it, but like you might get locked up. But you know, you accept it because it has a reason to be there, and then eventually it'll pack its bags and leave. Once you've, in other words, that's the only way to really truly get to the root of the issue, is to welcome it and not push it off, not to ignore it, but to welcome it. So I don't know if that's interesting to you, but that's been so helpful for me in my life. So I'm really glad you called in. Go ahead.
I just want to say a last closing note. I actually do as well struggle with depression and anxiety, and you're exactly right. One of the biggest things that's helped with me is embracing the suck. It's kind of one of my favorite terms. Is some things suck, and you can either let it suck and ruin you, or you can figure out a way to get through it. And it's really hard sometimes to wake up and say, I'm just going to get through it. But the more you do it, the more you believe you can. And then the more you start doing it more. And eventually it becomes a snowball effect of good instead of a snowball effect of bad.
That's right. I love that. Embrace the suck. I love that. It's so true. That's a more efficient way to say it. But yeah, I like the idea of, you know, these emotions are a guest and are like, yeah, I like the positive spin it puts on it. It's like it's more than suck. Although I love the way you put it. It's like there's a positivity, there's a positive reflection on the picture of a guest in your home. Like you don't let a stranger into your home or somebody who's dangerous into your home. But that's the whole point, is like these emotions aren't going to kill us. These emotions aren't strangers. These emotions have justice. These emotions are justified. They have reason to be there. So I don't know if that is a distinction in your mind, but for me, I love the positive imagery of negative emotions being a guest in your home, and it's helped me move through some. Agree. It's helped me move through a lot of muck in my life, because it always moves on. It always moves on. It always packs its bags and leaves. It's never permanent. And of course, as I said, like I realize some people deal with this stuff on a chronic basis, and it's more of like a medical issue, and I totally get that. So I'm not trying to speak for the whole world here, but it sounds like you picked up what I was putting down, and I'm really, really glad to hear the way that you've processed this. I'm really glad that you've been able to share the way you have. I wouldn't call what you've been doing here trauma dumping. You've answered a lot of really tough questions, and that's the sign of somebody who is doing more than trauma dumping. You've done a lot of processing. You've been through a lot of therapy. And so, again, I applaud you. You're a beautiful spirit. And I say keep it up and keep being, just go easy on yourself. Be patient and know that these things will take time. And you may never figure it out totally, but you will at some point find peace with it. And it will not hold you back your whole life. Especially from the sound of your story, I sense that you're going to be getting to the root of these issues a lot quicker than maybe most people would. So, cheers to you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the time and everyone watching. And to you, Julian, thank you. This is a really cool thing you're doing. I appreciate the time.
Thanks for calling in. The chat is a great resource. You mentioned you're new here, so the chat replay will be up with the video replay tomorrow. So if you want to rewatch this call tomorrow, the chat will be up. There's a lot of good stuff in here I wasn't able to get to. But the chats are here for the callers, so if you want to revisit that tomorrow, you may get some more insight, more food for thought at least.
For sure.
All right, thanks for calling and take care. Call again anytime.
Thank you very much. You do the same.
Good night. Beautiful. Okay, guys, lines are opening again. Hi, thanks for calling.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. I've started watching this recently, and it's kind of made me realize something that I haven't really processed, and I feel like I wanted to talk to you about it, if anybody.
Okay. Can we start with your age and then give us a brief intro so we can kind of get our heads around what it is that's on your mind?
I'm 22. And I guess basically I had two just really awful things happen to me right before and right at the beginning of college. And after watching this, it's kind of just helped me to realize that it's had a larger impact on my life since the two events, than I ever realized.
Okay. What happened?
Well, I guess we'll go in chronological order. I guess, are there any things like that we can't talk about on here? I don't know if there's any like topics you avoid.
Nothing we can't talk about if it happened, so long as it's real, so long as it happened, and just no names, no locations.
Right. So I guess we'll start with what happened before college. I've struggled with anxiety most of my life, and started to struggle with depression, like on and off, kind of fluctuating during my senior year of high school. But graduating high school and getting ready for college and growing up and all of that, I was really, honestly, on top of the world for a long time before this happened. And at the end of the summer, I believe it was the third week of July, so about a month before I would have started my first semester of school. And I went to, there was this church camp that I went to. It was like where people's like youth groups from churches, go to the same, it's like a conference, I guess. And basically,
while we're there, I'll just as a precautionary measure, I'll say just don't tell us where the church was or the name of the camp or anything. Just
right.
No names whatsoever. Yeah, just
right. Yeah,
I always get nervous. I don't like toasting people. Sorry, keep going.
No, that's why I was kind of like trying to clarify what type of like event thing this was without saying what or where or anything. But so basically, I said a little. That was long-winded. Anyway, to say basically, so there was this girl in the youth group at my church, and basically we had dated briefly a couple of years before, like briefly, like kind of into the summer, kind of a fling that kind of went into the fall and just kind of broke up after that. It wasn't a big thing. And we're honestly on good terms. Never was anything really awkward because we were just cool. She was fine. But then 2 years later, we're at this camp and she seems interested in me and is flirting with me, and like we kind of hit it off again. The last night we were there, basically, like we were all hanging out. The way the house we were staying in was set up was like there was an upstairs where there were most of the bedrooms, and then all of our, like the adults that were with us on the trip were asleep upstairs. We were all hanging out in the basement, in the room I was sharing with a guy, and it was like 10 of us. I came down there last, and she was awake and in my bed after things had gone. So like, I don't want to like sit here and tell the whole thing because I know you try to keep these to about 30 minutes, but like things had been like progressing, like we had been talking and sorry, basically ended up like we were like hanging out with all of these people in there, and she ended up falling asleep like in my bed, and I was never alone ever, thank God, because she in her sleep started like having like hyperventilating, and so I like woke her up and was like, "Hey, you okay?" And she looked at me all freaked out and went and left and went upstairs and told all the girls on the trip that are in my youth group that all these people I've known my whole life growing up, that she fell asleep in my bed, and I got in bed with her and was quote unquote all over her. And as I explained some of the previous stuff, like with our previous relationship, to say like there was a past history, like we were like she was someone I was close to, and so I guess like the first part of that was that one, like going into college, I had an intense anxiety of just like being around girls, like, especially like in any like implicit scenario or something like that, or being alone with a girl was terrifying to me for my entire freshman year of college. And the other part of that is that because of the way it happened and because of how awfully she tried to lie and manipulate the situation, it didn't get around my church. It didn't just spread. There was no open like accusation against me. But I realized it took a huge part of myself from me because I was so involved like in the community of my church. And it took like it took a part of of myself away because I didn't feel safe in a place around people that I like, because I was paranoid that anybody might know or have heard.
Right. So it sounds like she told, if I'm understanding correctly, it sounds like you said the girl went upstairs and told a bunch of the people that you'd known for a long time that this stuff that wasn't true. I believe your account, because first of all, I don't know why anybody would call in here looking for support, because this is anonymous. None of us know you or your name or anything. And secondly, I can hear it in your voice. I can hear that this is something that's really weighed on you for a long time. And also because this happens to people. It's happened to me, not exactly like you. It's happened to me, people lying, people spreading lies. It's happened to me my whole life. In fact, I've had other friends who've experienced it. This stuff happens. People will, and you know, but it sounds like it didn't. Did you say it didn't make it all the way around your church? Is that what you said? Yeah, like
It really did not make it very far at all, because it didn't it didn't make it very far at all, because essentially as soon as before we even we were on this trip, so we were at least directly, like, obviously everybody had phones, but like for them, like this wouldn't have like spread so quickly, because we were still not like at home. And so my youth leader at the time, I love that woman. She is the best. And in this situation, I think there's really this stereotype with a lot of like millennial, like mid to late 20s feminist women, and she was like not like, she was a true, like, she read the situation and basically said, no, you're not gonna lie about this and hurt like people who really actually go through this,
right?
Who try to speak up. And it didn't leave the people who were on that trip. It didn't, like, nobody heard about it, pretty as far as I know, except for a couple people that were informed so that they could be aware of what was like actually going on.
So
Sorry,
was there more? I don't want to cut you off, but I do have a question.
No, that was pretty much it for the story. There's a lot of more details, but I would take up an hour.
So what is the? It wouldn't be the first time we've gone an hour, but I do have a couple more questions. Like, obviously, this is hanging over your head because it sounds like some people still think you did something. Is that the case?
I mean, yeah, probably, yeah. I just, like, honestly, one of the parts of it, like, it didn't get around, but there was still a point at which I had to experience, like, having it get back to me, because I remember she started texting me after we had all, like, gotten home from the trip, and she wouldn't directly accuse me of anything. Like, she wasn't willing to say I specifically did something that was like wrong, or like, and then would lie. Like, she said she hadn't told anybody except for our youth leader. But before she said that to me, it had already gotten back to me through my friend's sister, who they were both on the trip, and he was my like roommate on.
I see. So what did she want? She texted you. What did she want?
She was like, I don't even remember. I literally, I still have the phone. I have the phone with the texts on it, because I refuse, like, to get rid of it. Like, anything I would ever need to, like, protect myself is on that phone, because
right.
it's, the screen is broken and I have to wireless charge it, but I have it, like, and I won't get rid of it ever, because I don't, I'm too afraid of anything ever happening.
So it sounds like you guys never really closed that incident. It sounds like there was never any closure there. That
No, there was never any closure, because I knew, the way I saw it was, even if I know I have everything I would need to be the one to speak out first, or to let this come out and to prove, like, that I was right, there will, in any situation like that, there will always be people who don't believe you. It's just how things go always.
Yeah, if anything, I'd say, in my experience, people are more prone to believe gossip and misinformation than they are to receive the truth willingly, because people, there's actually a name for this. It's escaping me right now, but there's a name for this phenomenon. It's that people basically feel better about themselves. It sounds horrible, but it's true on like a baseline level. And for some people, it's true on a very deep level. But, and I'm not saying it's healthy. I'm not saying everybody feels this way, but a lot of people feel better about themselves subconsciously when they hear something bad that somebody else did, or if something bad happens to somebody. Like some people take this so far that they'll feel good about themselves when something bad happens to somebody else. Be like, wow, like that happened. Did you hear about this is what gossip is. This is why people gossip. Did you hear about so and so? Because it like elevates you. It's like, well, that didn't happen to me.
Like relatively.
Yeah. So I'm empathizing with you in saying that, and I'm really sorry to hear that story. Do you have friends that know? Like, what about the guys that were with you in that room? Do they know what she said? What do they think?
No, every one of those guys said they'd like testify in court if I asked them.
Okay, so they're on your side.
Yeah, absolutely, because crucially how the events transpired. She claims I told her, and she was hanging out with like the entire group, and we were all hanging out, and while we were all still hanging out, she was awake, and we were both sitting in my bed. But she doesn't even recall, she claims, any of that. She just claims everybody was hanging out, she fell asleep and woke up, and I was in bed with her. And it was like, so all of those guys, the moment I told them that specific detail of when I told them what was going on, they were all like, "Oh, dude, that's bullshit." And so, yeah, it was. So I know that.
So how has this held you back? What has it felt like carrying this? How long has it been since? It sounds like it's been a couple years or maybe a few years. And you said it's been hanging over your.
Yeah, this would have been a little more than 4 years, because it was like towards the end of July 2018.
Okay. And how has this held you back?
I guess the other, I don't want to spend too much of my time on this one, because really the other story I feel like is more significant in like other aspects. This one works me up more because it's what it is, like the subject matter. But I would say specifically this thing, it holds me back because before I'm in a relationship now, and I have been for 3 years. Our anniversary was yesterday.
Happy anniversary.
And well, thank you. But it's held me back, like, because I mean, she's the only person I've ever like been with, and so it's held me back in like having feeling safe, like in certain like early parts of our relationship, like having to have like a little too much reassurance that like everything was okay.
I see. So some insecurity.
I'm speaking like specifically like in intimate like situations. Like I had to have too much reassurance because I was paranoid.
So it's like sexual paranoia. Like you were scared of sex, or you were scared that something might go wrong and she might leave you, or
I guess scared that I might be doing something that and she would not want that, basically. Like
Right.
Like, I
Well,
just paranoid of anything at all causing a similar situation to happen, really, like in that way.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, um, you were, sounds like you were a teenager and this thing happened and it made you really sexually on guard. That seems completely understandable. Um, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's something you got to hang on to, but it seems perfectly reasonable. That I mean that shows, if anything, that shows your innocence. That you've carried this into a long-term relationship. This fear. My guess is that you're going to be processing this for some time. I mean, you're young, and I don't know if you heard the last call, but we had another caller in their early 20s before you who was kind of living in a funk, in a cloud, and I said a similar thing to them, that your 20s are where we process these things, that traumatic life events or stuff from our childhood, or just generally the kind of person we want to be as adults. Like, that's your 20s are the time that we do that, and so I think it's good that you're thinking of this stuff. I think it's in the way that you are. I think I would say it's a positive thing, that you are. I don't want to say it's positive that you have a fear or a paranoia of sex, but I'm saying that my sense is that will level out in time into a healthy respect or caution, or not saying that you weren't cautious before, but you've developed this hypervigilance towards intimacy, and I don't know if it makes sense what I'm saying. Do you get where I'm going with that?
No, like, I needed to hear that.
Okay. So does your partner know that you have this paranoia?
Yes.
That's good. That's good, I'd say. Off core
She's
from the
really
chat.
great.
Amazing. I'm really glad to hear that you've opened up about that. So your partner knows the story that you just shared here, and knows that this is like a really sensitive thing for you.
And yes, and actually, what's amazing is just how supportive she is. I don't want to give any of her details or say anything,
Right?
but
Yeah.
like,
Please don't.
she's really, like, she's so understanding and so supportive.
That's amazing. Off core, one of our mods in the chat said something a while back that I thought was an interesting point. He says that she climbed into your bed, not the other way around. And it doesn't sound like you were. I mean, it sounds like you heard her hyperventilating, and you tried to wake her up and ask her if she was okay. So, I mean, do you know why she started hyperventilating? Do you know, like, did it seem like she was just having I mean, it's not even relevant really, but like, I'm just curious, like, why she started hyperventilating.
I don't know. She wasn't awake. Like, I had to, like, wake her up.
I see.
It was like she was having like a nightmare or something, and I woke her up or something. And I guess that's honestly the only thing that, like, nags me to this day, because really I struggle with parts of it, but it's stuff I know I know the direction I'm headed in with a lot of it, I guess. But what kills me to this day is, does she really think something happened, or is she really just lying? Like, is this completely calculated and planned, or has she somehow really convinced herself of this? Is what gets me to this day.
Maybe she was dreaming that something horrible was happening to her, and then in that split second, while those dream chemicals were wearing off, she saw you on top of her, shaking her to wake up, and maybe conflated who was who or what was real. I mean, it's at least possible. I mean, you said it yourself. It's not worth digging too far into that particular story, because it's not of most relevance. But I did want to bring that up, what Off Course said earlier. Also, LC from the chat says, I have a lot of compassion for you in this situation. It takes time to move on past this kind of fear. It's its own kind of trauma. I believe this will make you stronger. And LC said earlier that their husband and them had experienced some church gossip, some church accusations, and they said that that thing is very real, and it's not exclusive from churches or something. I can't remember. I can't find it right now, but they were empathizing with that. I thought you'd like to know that there's somebody in the chat who's been through something similar, so that you're not totally feeling alone, or this kind of stuff happens. It's life is rarely, it's a cliche to say life isn't fair, and it's probably not what you need to hear. But my point is, like, things like this happen, and I think it's really smart that you kept the phone with the messages from the girl when she texted you the next day or the next week, because sometimes judges in courts believe things that aren't true, and so I think it's really smart that you've got some good evidence that you're innocent. I think anybody listening to a testimony from you would hear it in your voice that you're innocent. Again, I don't know why you would call in here, an anonymous show, if you were lying, because it's not like any of us can, like, give you support if we don't know your name. Like, how can we, like, help you in a legal way? There would be no benefit to doing that. So I believe you. The chat believes you that you're innocent, and I believe, just based on hearing your voice and the way you've shared and the words you've chosen, that even if this girl wasn't dreaming something about you, even if she was calculating all of it and planned to litigate at some point, it doesn't look like she does, because it seems like she would have done it sooner if that was the plan. But my point is, like, even if worse came to, I'm saying this to console you, that even if worse did come to worse, I believe that if you shared, like you shared here tonight, that your testimony is considerable. It's considerable. It's I believe you, and I believe anybody else that hears it would believe you.
Thank you. Honestly, helpful to get that off my chest.
I'm glad. That's what we're here for.
And thank you, thank you to the chat, by the way, because it really does. It is something that is really isolating, so it means a lot to not feel so alone in the experience.
Yeah. Give it time, and don't let it, fester and turn into something where you're hard on yourself for it. Don't let it turn into something where it's like, I should have been more careful. Things have happened to me before where similar things, I've never been accused of doing anything sexually, like sexual misconduct or anything like that. But I was for the sake of the point, I was at a birthday party when I was in like 12 years old, and I got accused of beating somebody up, and it wasn't me that did it. It was somebody much larger than me, much older than me, who was there, and everybody was scared to say who actually did it because the guy was bigger and older than everybody, and so they blamed it on me, and that festered and turned into this like hypervigilance for me for years, where I was just like, man, like I should have just left. I should have just like not been in the room. I should have been more careful. Like I should have said something. But I was like the youngest person there. So like don't do that is my point. Like don't do that to yourself if you're doing that. Cut that out. Like just let this. The world is a chaotic place. People do things and say things that aren't true all the time, and the truth usually will rise to the top. Sometimes it takes a long time, but it sounds like right now you're in the clear. On the bright side, it sounds like nothing's going to come of this. It sounds like like my impression is if she hasn't done or said anything, that's why I asked about, like, is it possible she was dreaming that something bad was happening to her, and then she woke up and saw you there and thought you had done something. I mean, if she hasn't litigated, then that seems at least possible.
I think she would have if she was gonna, because she has very good connections to very powerful attorneys in our area. Right. I'll say, and so I think I've known I'm in the legal clear. Truthfully, that fear isn't what messes with me. It's I know that people don't know, but I go to my church on Sunday morning, and I don't have the sense of comfort I once did. But it's not something I find at a different church with new people.
Right.
And so she really took that from me and took that part of me away.
My sense is that will come back in time, but it might be it might be a long process. Again, you're young.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, you.
I know I'll figure it out, but
yeah, and I'm not meaning to simply say you will figure it out. Like, that's not a helpful thing to hear in your situation. I'm just trying to encourage you that you're on the right track. It sounds like you have a good spirit. It sounds like the chat and I believe your story, and it sounds like you got a good partner who believes your story. It sounds like your partner is still with you, and you guys have been together for a long time. So it sounds like it's a good, healthy relationship. I'm pretty sure if you were the person that this girl had accused you of being, you would not be able to hold down a relationship for as long as you have. So
nope.
rest assured in what you have, and just take your time, go easy on yourself, and I'm wishing you the best. Of course, if you want to call back anytime, feel free to. Lines are always open for you.
All right. Well, thank you. And again, I wasn't trying to be dismissive of your support. I really do appreciate everything you've done for me here, and I appreciate the chat. I'll keep watching.
Yeah, I didn't sense any dismissiveness, but yeah, we appreciate you sharing, and hope you'll call again if there's ever anything else on your mind.
All right, maybe I will another night. I'll let some other people talk.
Sounds good. All right, take care of yourself.
All right.
Good luck.
All right, bye.
Bye. Yeah, gossip is crazy, people. Don't engage in gossip. That's why if somebody tells me something I don't need to know, I just tell them to stop. It's none of my business. You can just make them feel bad for telling you. That's my trick. It's like, this is none of my business. Why are you telling me this? One little trick I've learned to nip gossip in the bud. Okay, lines are opening again, and we've got about 45 minutes left in this stream. Probably enough time for 2 callers. Yeah, that's a good submission there, good contribution there from Caffeine System. It really takes effort not to gossip sometimes, too. Good to remember how harmful it can be. Very true. Okay, it seems that we're waiting here. We've got a little bit of a wait on the next caller, which is okay. Sometimes that happens. We'll just take our time. We'll hang here. We can chat it up for a little bit if you guys want. We can loosen up the chat for a minute. We do try to keep focus on the callers while somebody's speaking. But if anybody else wants to, we can just chat for a minute if you guys want. I've got some great soundboard sounds loaded up in here that I've been playing with. I got a guitar set. I gotta get some guitar sounds. I've been playing guitar here. It's getting old already. I've only got 4 guitar sounds, guys. Actually, this kind of sounds like the music I've been listening to in my funk playlists. I could probably actually make a funk song out of these samples. So ridiculous. In the end of the last stream, the last anonymous live stream, we were applauding the mods, and then it came to Nightbot, and instead of applauding Nightbot, we played a series of burps and a fart. I never thought we'd play a fart on Anonymous Live, but it happened at the end of the last stream. I kid you not. I've also got this great organ sound that I've considered opening Anonymous Live with, but it's probably not the right tone to start off with. But since we're in a lag here, I'll show it. This is an amazing sound. How great would it be if we opened Anonymous Live with this wholesome organ sound? It seems to set the tone quite nicely, I'd say. But wait, something's coming. It's going to be not good. Wait. Kind of a weak explosion, but that's an explosion. It's like an organ at the beginning of a church ceremony, and the person falls off and turns into an explosion. I'm like, who made this and why? What use case does this sound have? It's amazing. Powerful metaphor right there. Very true. Very true. You guys, there are some sounds in my soundboard that I'm not sure are even YouTube safe. Some of these sounds I've got to they should be. There's nothing like explicit, but one of them is on the verge of explicit. It's also completely not inappropriate. I'll let you figure that one out. Like, can anybody guess what this sound is? It could potentially be qualified as explicit, but it is not in any way inappropriate. This is my dilemma. I can't find anything whether or not I might get in trouble for playing this sound, but I've almost played it on several streams. Any guesses of what this sound could be? Silence in the chat. Everybody's brains are frozen. It's completely explicit. Well, Lord Snuggles is close. It's an animal. I think I just gave it away. It's two animals. I'll put it that way. I think that makes it quite clear. It's two animals. And it's completely explicit. But they play these things on Discovery Channel. So I'm like, would I get in trouble for playing this sound? It's a hilarious sound. It's two goats getting it on. This is in my soundboard. I kid you not. Two goats getting it on. Could I play that on YouTube? What do you guys think? I actually do have a turtles one too, but the goats are funnier. The goats are funnier. I also got a new explosion sound. Pretty good explosion. What else is in here? Oh, I have my hype. We forgot to start with a hype. We should start these with my hype.
Yeah.
I love that hype.
Yeah.
We're now deterring callers from calling in. They're going to come in here and be like, this is not a good place to call in. What is happening? Like, screaming, yeah.
Oh, yeah!
These sounds are great, though. It lightens the tone. It's nice. Angry cats. This one's absurd here. It's supposed to be somebody fighting, I guess. What that one is. But it made it to the soundboard. I need to get a physical, detached soundboard, so I'm not using my keyboard. Because sometimes I forget the key combinations. Somebody was sharing the other night. Can't remember what somebody was talking about something really heavy. And I accidentally played a moment of the evil laugh when I was trying to applaud them. I gotta get a better system for the soundboard. The keyboard is only barely cutting it. It's hard to remember which buttons are which. Yeah, we're in good company though. People get it. People know that this is a pretty laid back stream. I thought about putting a little MIDI keyboard right here so we could do little actual jam sessions while we're waiting. Would that be insensitive? Do you think that would probably be better than a soundboard, honestly? Be some actual music. Maybe we could keep it chill with some actual music. I'm not great on keyboard, but I got a little tiny MIDI keyboard I could put right here in front of my actual keyboard. Maybe it'd be good for these kind of moments where we're just chilling. Okay, seems LC thinks that's a good idea. Maybe I'll do that. Not tonight. It's gonna take some time to set it up, but maybe I'll do that. Maybe we could write some music. So which one of you is going to call in? One of you watching is going to call in. I would assume. Or somebody who's about to watch is going to call in. That's the mystery. I'm not telling somebody they have to call in. Please don't call in unless you actually have something you need to talk about, of course. But if anybody is feeling compelled to, now's a great time. We've got about 35 minutes left in this stream tonight. We'll chill here as long as we need to. I haven't prepared anything to do. Usually we have calls straight through the stream, but crazier things have happened. We could improvise some chat-worthy stuff to do. Chess. Chess is a funny idea. I want you guys to get into Dominion. I'm going to take this opportunity to plug Dominion, the card game, again, because this is an excellent card game. It's got to be the best card game in the world. It's got to be. I can't think of a better card game. It's a little nerdy. If you look at it, it's going to look a little nerdy, but get over it. It's a great game. It's very simple, very easy to pick up, very relaxing. Great way to end the night, and I highly recommend it. And now I see 2 calls coming in, so we're going to take this one. Hi, thanks for calling.
Hey, Julian. Yeah, I guess I should start off. I'm actually 41 now. Although I really don't feel like it. Honestly, I feel like I'm in my mid-30s. Like, it feels very, very weird that I'm at this age. But to get to the I guess the main reason why I wanted to call is with a lot of the callers that were in I guess you could say that, well, they were all in a form of pain. And one thing that I've learned over the years is that people I'm sorry, that takes me a second to get my words together. What I've learned over the years is that pain, no pain, no gain. You know, it's a really old saying, but it's true. No pain, no gain. And
That's
sometimes, right. Obviously, a lot of pain can obviously be very, very damaging. And even now, I still have those feelings, even at my age. And it can be really hard to deal with it. Just, you know, I guess to give you something that I'm holding on to that I know I really need to let go is just forgiving people, you know, just letting my, you know, okay, you know what, that's them, but you got to let it go. But it's so hard, even now, 20 years back, you know, it's like, it's painful. Relationships, whether it be family relationships or just, you know, crap, I can't think of the word.
It's okay. Take your time.
Not, like a boyfriend, girlfriend, or, whatever, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. I mean, that there's obviously a difference in pain, how you would react to it, but it's, I mean, I'm 41. I've had like 3 or 4 relationships, and they've all been absolutely crazy. Mind you, I'm autistic, so the high functioning, Asperger's, but it still gets me into trouble. I've actually got a really hilarious shirt that basically says, that thing that's inside your head that lets you know, hey, don't say that. I don't have one of those.
Right.
So, yeah. And that really gets me into trouble. And, I'm like 41, and, my mom's, oh my gosh, I think my mom's 70 this year. And I still argue with her. And I know that more than likely, even though I'm struggling just to say this, at least 50% of the time, it's me. I'm the one that's doing it. I'm the one that's causing the problems. But I don't know. And, it's like I know that there's got to be people that have, issues like that. I mean, I know every family, everybody has, issues like with their mom or their dad, or, like, oh my God, come on. Because even in the later years, with my grandmother, my mom took care of my grandmother when she was, nearing the end. She was still trying to mother my mom, even though she's trying to take care of her. But, some things are more difficult than others. And gosh, I guess in my head I kind of knew I would start to get a little emotional about it. But, it hurts. It really hurts, because I never know when I'm really the one being the asshole, because sometimes I feel like I'm an asshole, but I don't even know it.
So what is the forgiveness? What is the forgiveness about? What is it that, can you share a little bit about what that experience has been like for you? Maybe a little bit about what happened that you're still holding on to? Are you harboring resentment?
Well, yeah. Well, my father, my dad, he was very abusive when I was young, and even now he is. But as he's gotten older, he's, it's kind of weird, because he's kind of got like this attitude of, he's kind of realizing that he's basically built his own prison. He's made his bed, and he's not just living in it, he's wallowing in it. And it was never physical. It was always just, like, trying to trying to accuse my mother of doing something that she never did. And I've got two brothers, one older and one younger, and they, especially the older brother, he's like, oh, it was mostly Mom's fault. Mom, you caused all this. And me, especially with the fact that I have Asperger's, I remember things that almost nobody does. Most of the stuff, it's even stupid, like ridiculous things. But I can never offhand give an explanation of like what exactly went on, and because of that, people think I'm making shit up, and it's I mean,
I hear what you mean.
But I really, even though I'm going through all this, I know that you can't gain anything without pain.
That's
you're
right.
You're working out. You're going to feel the pain. You're going to feel it.
That's right.
Whether it be physically working out or just mentally having an issue. If you're living in a bubble for, and you're whoever is taking care of you, whether it's your birth parents or otherwise, if they just keep you in that bubble, and just one little thing goes off for you, or doesn't go your way, or how you'd expect it to, you're going to lose your mind. And I'm just grateful I haven't had that happen to me, because I think if that did, I wouldn't be here today.
Right. Well,
it's just it. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, please, because I tend to rattle on and repeat myself, and I never exactly know what I do. So
no, you've spoken very well. I'd say I haven't noticed that. Very quickly, we've only been speaking about 10.5 minutes or so, and you very quickly painted a very elaborate picture of what's on your mind. You mentioned your abusive father. You mentioned some crazy past relationships. You mentioned your struggle with feeling like an asshole because you have no filter because of the autism. And so I want to say a few things. First of all, I want to say I'm sorry to hear your story about the abuse from your father.
mm-hmm.
I'm really sorry to hear that. You didn't deserve that. Nobody deserves that. So that's not fair that you had to deal with that. But I do agree with you, and I believe when you say no pain, no gain, sounds like the words of somebody who's really processed that abuse and is in the process of turning that into gains. And so I would applaud you for that. And the other thing I wanted to say is that, an asshole is somebody who knows they're being an asshole. And you said you struggle with that because you don't have that filter because of the autism, and you feel like sometimes you put your foot in your mouth. I can't remember how you said it. You said you sometimes have these moments where you're like, oh, was I just an asshole? And you don't know. That's kind of one of the hurdles and challenges with something like autism, is that you really don't know. And so therefore you can't be an asshole. It's just that much more important that the people in your life know that about you. And it makes me wonder if the people in your life who, it sounds like maybe you've been accused of being an asshole before, I wonder if the people in your life knew you were autistic. I wonder if they've heard you share.
Yeah, they know.
Okay.
Yeah, especially my mother. She fought for me for 10 years to be able to get on disability. I mean, I work, but it's with Social Security, it's not Social Security. That's not the right term, because people can get on Social Security who aren't disabled. But anyways, she fought for me for so long, and I've had to deal with idiotic psychiatrists. One time, one of them told me, if you were in a theater and someone was on fire, what would you do? And I've got a weird sense of humor, and I said, well, I don't know. It depends on if I'm the one on fire. And my mom just, oh my gosh, my mom just was on the floor laughing. She couldn't stop. But the psychiatrist had a dumbfounded look, like, what?
Yeah, I see. Yeah,
how's that funny?
Psychiatrist didn't. Yeah, I see.
Yeah,
I have a twisted sense of humor, so I got the joke. Of course, I took that as a joke. I take that to mean that there was some jest in what you said. There was some levity in what you said. There was some humor in what you said.
absolutely.
That is to say, it's not. You were answering the question with the opposite answer.
Yep.
that you instead of putting it plainly in complete transparency and apparency, you just dressed it up in some absurdity, and the psychiatrist didn't like it.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things is that I guess a lot of my stress comes from having to constantly help my mom, because I don't drive. She does. I've taken my driver's training. I've taken that like 4 times, and thank God I haven't actually gotten to any accidents. But if somebody wasn't in the car with me, I don't think I'd be alive. But she has neuropathy, and generally speaking, it happens with people with diabetes. She's one of the few that doesn't have diabetes, and it's literally just the nerves, and it can happen anywhere in your body. But generally speaking, it moves all the way up, and the final hope is basically to be numb wherever the pain resides, because it's like needles jabbing you in your foot, and I hear her just go, sometimes even scream, and it's even now, I've learned to just, not respond to it. But, in my head, I'm still like, gosh, I'm glad none of my friends are around, because, they think I don't care about my mom. But, I've had to, because it's like, doesn't matter who's having, in pain, and you're around them all the time, and you get, you get, I don't want to say numb, but, you just get used to it, and you just let it go, because if you don't, then the other person's going to be like, oh my God, okay, look, this is going to happen. Let it, just stop, okay? Yeah, it hurts, but it'll go away. And she's got migraines, and I have migraine, we both get seizures, and the stress is real.
So
it's not.
You're both battling with epilepsy too, is that right?
Yeah. It used to be called non-epileptic seizures, but they finally changed the name to petit.
Yeah.
Basically, just it looks like you're just staring off into space.
Yeah,
I'm
familiar with that.
Sometimes it hurts though, because your eyes get dry, but if you try and shake it off, then you'll get like a migraine or a massive headache, and it's like if somebody tries to snap their fingers at you or shake it off of you, and it's like, oh my God, no, don't. So yeah.
You're going through a lot. Sounds very. I hear now why you led with what you led with, and I think what you led with was so beautiful. At first, I thought you were just calling in as somebody nearly double the age of some of the previous callers tonight to just say something to them. I thought that's what this was, but then you opened up into all this difficulty, all these different difficulties, and so now I have different context for what you opened up with. No pain, no gain, and you sound like somebody who is learning and has learned to gain so much from you. You seem like the kind of person that soaks up your experiences. It seems like you're a sponge. You seem very impressionable in a good way. It seems like you leave no stone unturned. It seems like you leave you never pass up a good opportunity for learning something. It seems like you soak up your surroundings in a positive way, and I want to applaud you for that. I mean, you're going through so much.
Yeah.
You've been through so much, and I hear a lot of wisdom in what you're saying. You've clearly learned so much from what you've been through, and I wonder what that feels like. I wonder, do you ever get to celebrate what you've accomplished? Do you ever take the chance to do that? Are you good to yourself in the moments when you're able to be, you're supporting your mom, and you've got a lot, you've gone through a lot of tragedy in your life, but do you take the time to appreciate yourself for doing the hard work and for being the way that you are, being that person that will be in the pain and say, this is gain? Do you take the time to celebrate that you are that way? Because a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people go, oh, this sucks, get it away. But you seem to somehow not wallow in it, but also soak it up and convert it into steam power. And it's I wonder if you see that.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I really did like what you said with that last caller. Just soak it up. I mean, realize that it's there, but don't linger on it. Because if you linger on it, it's going to destroy you.
Right. It's a fine line between. Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes, at least half the time, I don't think about myself, in a positive way. I will always go out of my way to help somebody out. I just helped my friend move, and he's actually currently living with me. And it's kind of amusing because I had a a thing. He helped me move into this other store, or I'm sorry, into this other apartment with a mutual friend of ours, and I ended up moving out and into my current place, and he helped me, pack up all of our stuff and get it out, and then I helped him move basically into my old apartment, and then I ended up having to help him move out of that apartment into my house.
Wow. You're a
So
good friend.
it's I suppose so. I try to be humble about it. I don't want to gloat about it. But it does feel good. It does feel good to be able to do that for friends. But I've got so many things going on in my head. It's like I said, I'm always willing to help somebody else, say move, or help them clean up or whatever. But when it comes to, say, my room specifically, it's never how I want it to be. It always ends up being a mess. It always ends up being just dirty. Well, I wouldn't even say dirty. It's because I'm not dirty. It's just, like
Cluttered, maybe.
yeah, like how a lot of people will see things, like see the big detail. Well, I'm like the exact opposite. Like I'll walk by something that's really big multiple times, but I'll go, oh, I'll see like a piece of paper or piece of trash that's on the ground, and I just pick it up.
Right.
It's just my brain works in a very bizarre way.
Well, that sounds, so I don't take anything you just said as gloating. Like when I asked you if you're a good friend, you said yes, and that you didn't want to come across as gloating about that. I don't take that, I didn't hear that as gloating. First of all, I said, it sounds like you're a good friend. So like, what are you supposed to say to that? You're clearly a good friend. But what I hear instead of gloating is I hear the life experience. I hear somebody talking who did not have that growing up, or was not treated that way by key people in their past, and this is your way of paying it forward. This, helping your buddy move into one place, out of it, and then back in with you, and then like just being there for your mom in the way that you're there for your mom. Like you're paying forward what you didn't get. My sense is that you want to believe that some good can come out of your tragedy, the tragedy that you lived as a child, or with these past relationships, or whatever you think that came from. But it sounds like you are treating your friends in the way that you wish you had been treated in past relationships, and I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, and I don't want to push anything, but I've got to say that my biggest help has been Jesus, and it's just one of those things. I know a lot of people, they tend to find it in other ways too, but it's been just, before, when I used to hear like, oh man, boy, am I glad insert God here, that, he's in my life because, I would crash and burn. But it's true. It really is true. I've just, it's not easy, but, I mean, if I got a problem, I just talk to them. So, I have to bring that up. But, I'm not don't want to push anything on anybody here. But, just want to say my piece.
I think it's beautiful. So I want to highlight a couple things from the chat. Jacob Lloyd said to you earlier that you could be a shining light and example for others in similar situations and provide clutch solutions. I would have to agree. And then Junglessy channel from the chat says to you, I work in mental behavioral health and see emotional and physical struggles they deal with. I've learned that we can be the positive change for others through sharing our stories when appropriate. And I think that's very true, and that's beautiful. And they just said something else to you. The Junglessly said to you, anonymous caller, you seem like a genuine and good person. And that's what I'm saying to you as well. You've been very modest. You've shared very modestly. You've been very candid. You called yourself an asshole earlier. You accused yourself of being an asshole, and I had to reel you in and say, look, like, it doesn't sound like you have the linguistic filter to qualify as asshole. I'm sure you could do something to be an asshole, but my point is that, like, you said that you don't know, your problem is you don't know when you're doing it. And so, like, my point is that you've shared very genuinely here tonight, very candidly. I think that's wonderful. I also love how you opened with no pain, no gain. I thought you were just calling in to give some advice to some other callers, and then you opened up into all this other stuff that you've been going through. I want to celebrate.
That kind of was my initial intent. But I figured, I'm here, I might as well, show that, it's like, yeah, I'm going through struggles myself as well. So
I think that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing tonight, and I hope this was a good call. I hope you got at least some support, some good vibes at least. And, we do these twice a week. You can call back anytime you want. And
yeah, I might do that.
Really glad that you called tonight.
Yeah, I am too, and I'm glad I was actually able to talk to you because I've been a real big fan since really early on. So
thanks so much.
Yeah. So yes, and have a good night.
You too. I appreciate the support, and take care of yourself. Call back again anytime. Take care.
All righty.
Good night.
All right.
Guys, another beautiful stream. It's 4 minutes till the end of the stream. We don't have time to open up another call. I will hop into the Discord for 5 minutes to make it up to you. I'll hop in for 5 minutes. I can't stay up late tonight. I got a bunch of stuff to do after this anyways. But when there's a few minutes left, I try to jump in the Discord. If you're not in our Discord, it's a great place to meet other people that are in this community. There's about 700 people, and maybe even more than 700 people in the Discord now, in the anonymous live Discord server. Link is in the description. It's totally free. And also just turning into a beautiful place. Easy cheesy, just put the link in the chat. So I'll hop in there for a few minutes. We do these twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays now at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Last time I did this, I made a mistake of saying 10 p.m. Central. It is not 10 p.m. Central. It's 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And we do it on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And thank you guys so much for being here, for watching, and for listening to the callers, and for offering different points of view and support and just general good vibes. You guys are awesome. And I will now sign off. And for those who want to join me in the Discord for a chat for a few minutes, I will be there, and I'll see you there shortly. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, guys. Good night.